Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you don't have the chance, go check out our website, justsayingfootball.com, and follow us on Instagram at JustSayingNoGWJS for article and video updates. Jack, Week 9 kicks off this Thursday as the New York Jets take on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Jets had a big win last week. Break this game down for us, buddy.
Damn. I mean, last week, Mike White in his first career start against the, at the time, top-seeded Bengals in the AFC, guy came through 400 yards. It's just something that, you can't write. Michael Carter had a great game. The Jets, they looked pretty lively last week, and honestly, this is a pretty exciting matchup. The Colts are kind of on the up and up right now. There's a lot to be excited about in this game.
Absolutely. The Colts, after that sour loss to the Titans that they were so close to winning, they jumped out to that early 14-point lead, and then sadly that lead just quickly dissipated. But then, with the Henry, now with the news, he might be out for 6 to 10 weeks with the foot injury, getting surgery today, opens up a really nice opportunity for them to win the AFC South. This is an important game for them because the Jets, they're riding high after that big win. You're talking about Mike White. This is the first Jets quarterback since Danny Testaverde to throw for over 400 yards. It's been a long time since the Jets quarterback has done this. I think that, you got to be pretty excited. Do you think this opens up some debate for the Wilson White?
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about this week, just about, what do you do when you have a guy you drafted second overall and you're still developing him for your franchise. And you have a guy who comes in and actually wins this game. What's a great thing for the Jets here is, they did get to use a lot of different weapons last week for Mike White. So I was kind of happy that, he was in that. But last week, 82% completion. You can't complain with a guy who throws over 40 passes and gets that. What an incredible game for any quarterback. If any other quarterback had this kind of game against this Bengals team where they are right now, you got to be excited. But I have to admit, this Colts defense is a little bit nerve-wracking to me. I mean, they are middle of the pack right now, 14th. This is a good matchup, but it's really because at the beginning of the season, they did have a couple of slip-ups, going 0-3, and, they had to play, the Rams and Titans over that span. But now we've been able to see them really get things going. And, even though they did have the loss, as you mentioned, to the Titans, I trust Darius Leonard in that defense to, make them very uncomfortable.
So when you flip it to the other side of the ball and you're looking at this offense, the side of Jonathan Taylor, you got to be really excited if you're a Colts fan when you're looking at Michael Pittman Jr. and what he's done in only his second season. T.Y. Hilton was on the physical enable before him, and came in, just got a concussion. He's probably not going to be playing on Thursday night, it's looking like. And it means that Michael Pittman needs to continue to step up, which he has been. He's 45 for 594 and 4 touchdowns, including a great game against Tennessee where he had 10 receptions for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is 5 more receptions than he had last year already through 13 games, 91 more yards. He's having a great start to his season. You got to love that. I'm looking at this Jets team, also young player, just to mention, Michael Carter, having himself a great game last week up against the Bengals. For anyone that was paying attention, 15 rushes for 77 yards and a touchdown, then also doing it on the air. That was actually in the air, and then doing on the air for 9 for 95. Sorry about that, but he was playing a great game, and there are some young stars on both these teams that are kind of fun to look out for in this game. But overall, I'm going with the Colts for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Carter, he was the top fantasy running back last week, and definitely, like you mentioned, for good reason. I mean, an insane receiving game, very, very and more of a coming out game for him. Mike White, definitely going to be checking down with a lot of pressure coming from this Colts defense. We saw them when these teams matched up last year, they were able to create 3 picks and, a defensive touchdown disrupting Sam Darnold. I think that on the short week, Mike White being minimally game scripted. I think last week, they had the right game script for him going in. He was prepared. I think this week on a short week, it's really tough to gauge someone who's going just into their second start. Are you going to get the quarterback you got last week? Or, are you going to get, a guy who is in his second start? It's reasonable that he may not be able to get things done. But, the Colts right now, I'm loving what they're doing with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, as you mentioned, just the way that they've been able to get it done. Carson Wentz as well, he's been so clean with the football this year. The Jets have had issues turning the ball over. I think that Carson Wentz, only 3 picks compared to his 14 touchdowns right now. The guy's got 60% of his passes completed. I think that this is a great chance for him to get it done after the loss last week, and I'm going with the Colts on this one, definitely.
Yeah, again, I just think that the Colts know how important this game is for them. The AFC South was really tight, but again, that Derrick Henry injury is really, really big news for everyone in the AFC South, everyone in the AFC. But how this Titans team is going to adjust now without having the leading rusher who's getting 80 more carries than the next running back, who's running for over 200 more yards than the next running back, and all of these stats and what he does, what he brings to the table as a running back, there's an opportunity for them. They know what the Jets can do. They just saw it last week against the Bengals. They know to not take them lightly. They're going to come into this game serious. They're not going to drop 2 at home. I definitely just think you got to stick with the Colts. And going back to what you were saying about Mike White, you're right. You never know what you're going to get with a quarterback who, after the first game, especially against the top seed, where it just feels so much against them, and then they're able to flip the script. He did have 2 interceptions, things like that. So you don't know what you're going to get. You're absolutely right. So it's definitely time to Tampa, good game, on to the next game for sure, because there's a lot more games to be played throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and the Jets, last week we saw them go up, but this whole team, we've seen them kind of have struggles this year. Obviously, with Zach Wilson being a rookie, you have those struggles, but they right now are the last in rushing game. I would love to see them get Michael Carter going. I think that the game plan they had last week, check downs, getting Corey Davis, getting Jamison Crowder involved, that was all amazing. But this Colts defense is very disruptive in games that we need them to be. So very, I'm excited for this one. I think I'm just excited to see Mike White. I know the Jets fans are excited for that. It should be a pretty good one, honestly.
No, absolutely. It'll be a fun Thursday night football matchup for sure. And one thing I do want to just point out, Tevin Coleman, Corey Davis, George Fant, and Zach Wilson all have not practiced yet this week. Just some injury news to monitor. Some major starters for their team, including on the offensive line, quarterback, and wide receiver. Important to just watch out for that one coming into a really short week with a Thursday night football. But that is all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you everyone for checking us out.
Yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. Enjoy the Thursday night game. Enjoy our video, Just Saying Football, on YouTube, justsayingfootball.com for all our content, and Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates. Thank you guys for checking us out. Enjoy the game.
Enjoy.